And we are back with another episode, Real Talk with JT. And I have someone really unique, someone who went through a pretty drastic transition in their business. And not only he survived it, but he thrived in it. So I want to introduce you, good friend of mine, really cool guy, and guy who eats a lot of bananas, Raad Alawan from New Braunfels, Texas.
You had to put that in there. You had to put
Yes,
that in there.
indeed.
Hey, JT, thanks so much for having me. I really, really appreciate this time, and I have a lot of respect for what you're doing and building your team, doing it the right way. And one of these days, we'll actually see each other again
Yeah,
in
yeah.
real life.
In real life, yes, yes.
Yeah.
So, tell us, we know each other pretty well, right? But why don't you introduce yourself to the audience? Who is Rad? Besides selling a bunch of real estate and producing like incredible content, which just gets you the leads, right? That's something we're going to talk about. But besides doing that, like, who is Rad as a person?
Well, I'm married to an incredible person, Patricia, my wife. We have cats. We have a dog. I have my mom and my dad still living, thank God. I have my siblings back in Detroit. Who am I? I am somebody who's very disciplined. I have atomic habits, I guess you could say. I'm a very vanilla person. I'm very boring, but that's what keeps me consistent. And I guess I like I like to put my nose to the grind too, and just push forward. But I'm always striving for consistency in whatever I do. And there is no, I'm just kind of focused on always on the path as opposed to the obstacle. And learning from others is my biggest thing. Is no matter how old I get or how old I am, I always try to keep an open mind. And I think I do. They say the older you get, listen to the younger people. If you're young, listen to the older people. So I am somebody who's open-minded, and very disciplined at the same time.
So, and that's so important. You said it over and over again, right? Being disciplined, right? Like how
Mhm.
important it is, you think, in our business and then in our life as well.
I think it's critical, to to have more, right? As Jim Rohn, the great life speaker, said, you have to become more. And out of that comes, well, in order for things to change, you have to change. There's nobody's coming to save you, and so it's all upon you, to do what you need to do in life, and forming those habits, whatever they are, waking up at the same time, exercising at the same time every day, eating at the same time every day, reflecting, it's journaling, whatever it is. The more habits you have in your morning routine, especially, the more you set yourself up for more opportunities in business and in life.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. This is so good. And Rod, we got the bananas going on over there again from Josh, from Josh, right? So most people, they don't really know the analogy. And even though I know Tom, he loves to use the bananas all the time. But between me and you,
Yeah.
like, why are we always talking about the bananas, and why is it so important to both of us?
Okay, so I think when we first met, it was at Elite Retreat with Tom Ferry in 2018, I want to say. And I always eat bananas in the morning, like in a shake and a banana, and I just had it in the room. And I think that's the only thing we had for breakfast because we were kind of running tight to the meeting. And that's kind of where it all started. And it's just become a thing.
Become our thing. But would it become the
Yeah.
analogy with the bananas with the seller?
Oh, yes, yes. Okay, so this is interesting because the market we're in right now, it's appropriate for this. So if you're a seller, right, and you think you know what your house is worth is one thing. Actually paying attention to what the comps are saying is the proper thing to do. So if you price your house too high, it sits on the market, right? And if you buy a banana from the grocery store and you put it on the shelf for 7 days, it's not going to be this color anymore.
This
It's
is a
going to be
fresh
black.
banana,
It's going
guys.
to be
This is
brown.
this is prime
Yeah,
banana.
this
Yes.
this is this is day one on the market, but you see it's starting to get brown. That's week two and three. So once it sits a long time, it gets black and brown, and everybody looks at the banana and is like, it doesn't look
Oh
as
yeah.
appetizing anymore. So The key analogy there is to get it right. Make sure your house is ripe for accurate pricing out of the gate.
Yeah. And guys, this applies to anything and everything we do, by the way. It's not just the listings and the sellers, right? This also applies to making videos and YouTube, right? Because I think
Yeah.
there's always, the time of the opportunity. And if you don't time it right, if you don't get in at the right time, not saying that you're still not going to get traction from that thing, but it's going to be just so much harder to get that traction. Like
Hmm.
similar with the bananas. I mean, we could sell some like black stale bananas, guys. Like we do that, yes, but it's that much harder to make it happen, right? So I just love that
I
analogy.
think it's yeah, yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think
No,
that
go
what
ahead.
you're hitting on out of the gate is so important because you're coming out of the gate and asking about, who am I, what makes this, and not really jumping into what we're about to jump into. But it's so important to talk about the habits first and what your needs are. Because my story, as you said, very drastic change. I went through some
Incredible.
rough times. So I was the breakthrough came from the breakdown, and we'll get into that whenever you're
Yeah.
ready.
So before selling real estate, like what did you do?
Uh,
And how did you get into real estate and why?
so good question. So before I was doing real estate, I was in television for about 9 years. I was an anchor, a reporter, a producer, a writer. So my background is in television news in front of the camera. And some might say, well, he's just a natural for it. No, that's not right. I mean, this is my ninth year in real estate. In the first 6 years, I didn't do anything with video. So that's, when I could have. And right before I got into real estate, I folded a business. It was a publication for a school district in the Detroit area, and it was failing. And I said, you know what? I'm going to try something that I have a lot of friends in real estate, and I think I can. I'd be helping families, kind of continuing what I'm doing now with the newspaper, promoting families, featuring families, helping families. Let's try this, and and so I just decided to make that switch. I think, what, I can do this. I can kind of continue this voyage.
So you were confident that you can make anything happen in your life when you put your mind into it, right? Was that a big factor as well
Yeah,
for
I
you?
mean, that was a big factor, and the other factor was my wife and I were in two different states at the time because she was taking care of her parents who eventually passed. But I said to myself, there's no way I'm moving to Texas because I'm from the Detroit area, and that's what I know. I don't want to move to another state, and so be careful what you wish for, right? So that was my biggest driver, actually, when actually approaching the exam. I said, this is life or death. If I don't pass that exam, I'm going to die, and the reason I'll die is because then I won't have money. I won't be able to eat or drink, and I
Mhm.
don't depend on people. So I treated that real estate exam like life, literally like life or death. And when I passed it, it was such a huge relief. And yeah.
And was it something, the work ethics and the discipline and just the stone character you have, right? Making anything happen. Is this something you're born with or something you were raised towards? Or was it just you were just cornered in and you just didn't have any other option than to go forward and make it happen?
That's a very good question. I wasn't born with this. I was a skinny, shy, timid boy growing up, to the fact that so shy that I used to hide behind walls when guests came over. And who would have ever known I'd go into television? Would have been shocked. The consistency came when I went through a bad breakup, probably 25 years ago, and I was just devastated. And then I started exercising, right? And that's when the discipline started from a really bad situation it was born from, right? Typically, most things are like that. And then really that's what started me down my road of creating these consistencies in my life.
I love it. This is so good. So took us back. So you in Detroit, you joined real estate. Like, how were you getting business? You were fresh too, right? You didn't really have a book of business or anything of that sort. The market was
No.
different back in the days too. So, like, what were some of the main sources for you to generate business?
The main sources, other than the people I knew, I was very timid at the time of real estate because I didn't know the market. Until I knew the market, I became more confident. My main sources, I would say, dating back to 2016, 17, 18, was doing FISBOs, calling, and calling expireds. And then it did well in that. I would say my first year in real estate, my biggest year was, not my first year, but my third year was 3.5 million in volume. So
I
which
mean,
I
what's
consider
the
not
price
bad.
point and how many units? Just give us perspective. 3.5.
3.5 was 38 units, and price point was right around between I want to say 225 and 275,
So 38
if
units
I
in your
remember correctly.
so 38 units in your first year.
Third year, I would
Third
say. Yeah,
year.
third year.
Third year.
Yeah.
Pretty good. And you said that majority of the business was coming from expires and FISBOs.
Yeah, and that was coming from expires and FISBOs because at an event that I went to, we go to the same events,
Mhm.
and there was a challenge out to, okay, set these listings and set these listing appointments. So that helped. Being around people who were doing it better than me definitely helped push me.
Yeah. And just knowing the goals and again just staying focused on those goals, right? And
Yeah.
so and how did it
But
change
then,
for
but
you?
then I,
Yeah. Go ahead.
okay. So thank you. I was getting that. So, but then I became complacent. I'm like, wow, I just, did $126,000 in GCI. I'm Mr. Big Shot. Well, we know what happens when you become complacent with anything in life, right? You fall off really fast and it's easy to do.
Yeah.
So because of that, this is why I'm here. This is part of the reason I'm here today, because I became complacent. And that just when you have nothing in the pipeline, it's the worst, it's the worst feeling in the world because you have nothing. You're unemployed, no job, you have no money.
And the bills keep on coming, right? They don't go away.
And the bills don't stop. The bills don't go away. Yeah, I remember 3 years ago, I had no money when I moved here. Didn't know anybody, right?
No,
Had
no
my
habla
license,
español,
took my
nada.
classes.
No
What's that?
Spanish either. No Spanish either.
No, no Spanish either. Um, and my wife was paying all the bills. I had maybe $3.16 to my name, literally. That's it. Um, and it was COVID, and my wife is, had to be kind of shielded from that. And so I was doing a lot of that work, but it came to a point when she was paying all the bills, it just got very stressful. Um, and I said to myself, I was demoralized. I don't know if it's the male ego or not, but I said, I can't live like this. I have to be in control. If you're
And
not
be
in
able to
control of your
provide.
life, it sucks. I've been there. I'm telling you, I've been there. And it's not the life I'm going back to. So whenever somebody says to me, well, you're always busy, or you're doing this or you're doing that, I'm like, yeah, you're right. The alternative is better than the alternative,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And
So
so
it
that
almost
was a
sounds
quick
like it
change. I mean,
almost
that
sounds
was
like the
something.
cookie jar. It almost sounds like the cookie jar David Goggins is talking about, right? Having something you can go back to when you feel like maybe
Mhm.
not really doing the work to kind of wake you up.
Oh, absolutely. I have that in my cookie jar. That's a life I never want to live again, and I never will live again. And I'll do whatever it takes. And this is why I stay consistent. Somebody can say, well, you've done, 132, 133 videos. Let just people watch those and just stop doing what you're doing. Once you stop anything, it's going to eventually slow down and it'll eventually stop. And that's the life I'm living right now is more the life that I want to live. I want to do more. I want to give back more. But this is the life where I'm in control and I'm feeling a lot more confident. I'm able
Mhm.
to provide for my family and others as well. That's not something I could have said even 2 years ago. So we're talking about a short time here.
Really, really short time. And I really like what you said about the analogy, the consistency. Once you skip even just one day, that much
Mhm.
harder it's going to be to come back to it, right? So you might as well just keep on going. I like to always give the analogy of the old bike. Remember the old bikes which you couldn't switch the gears, like there was just one gear.
Yeah.
just one gear and one gear only,
Right.
right? And to get the bike started, you have to put a lot of effort into it. But once you were going with that bike, you have to just keep it going, right? It was pretty easy, and you can keep it going for
Yeah.
pretty long period of time. But if you would slow down, or God forbid, you would stop completely. Then to get the bike started again, you have to exert a lot of energy. And I think, in our
Yes.
business, a lot of people, why they get the ups and downs, with the results, with the closings, and really getting the return, right? Because the activity is up and down as well, right? Is that kind of
Yeah.
what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you have to keep the habits, keep the consistencies, and then just tweak here and there. You don't have to do everything all at once. You can repurpose what you're doing.
Hmm.
You don't have to work harder. You can work smarter. But yeah, I think once you stop and I know what complacency looks like because I've been through it in my life. I remember my first year in college, I did really well a long time ago. My dad talked me up quite a bit, and I got a big head, didn't know how to handle it. I never knew how to accept success. I got complacent. So it's a disease with me. And so I don't like to talk about myself. I don't. I really don't. I just keep my head because I say to myself, it can be gone. Every day I wake up, I'm going to tell you something I say. And it's made a biggest difference in my life aside from journaling every day. That's been the one of the biggest things, if not the biggest things. I say to myself in reflection every day, I did nothing to deserve this life. Now think about it. We weren't born and we didn't ask, hey God, can I be born? We didn't do anything to deserve this life. I think that's pretty accurate. So I have to do everything I can today to earn the life. So thank you for putting me in this position to lead, to help people out, to keep an open mind, to stay humble. Humility is the best medicine. It's just staying, and you know what it is. You're a very humble person. You give back, and you help people. And so this to me has been one of the biggest game changers in and handling, uh, you know, accolades that come your way. It's like, don't listen to it, man. Just say thank you and move on, because it's just complacency is a disease.
And I think, when you do that too, Rod, I think automatically you will look at that challenge or the seeming, problem as a blessing. And because you're looking at it as a blessing, you would automatically look for the lessons and the solutions,
Yeah,
right? And then you can really
yeah,
move forward. So I want to go back. So you work in Detroit about 3 years ago.
mhm.
You moved to Texas where your wife was at, right? You probably didn't have no real estate connections over there. So what was the journey over there once you moved to Texas? Were you doing the same thing, calling X marks and fishbowls and really utilizing the skills that you gained before? Or did you switch and did something completely different, and why?
Well, I didn't do much with my license in the beginning because I was not confident about the housing market I was in. I didn't know much about it until I joined with, and the first broker was independent broker, knows a
Mhm.
lot about the area, so that made me more confident. And so I didn't make calls, I didn't do anything. Now, what I did during
You came off and you're gonna come back.
Okay, we're back.
Back.
Um, so during COVID, I was going, bananas for lack of a better word, because I needed to help people in some way. So I created this show called Great News New Braunfels, where I live, and really edited together every Friday night a piece so people can watch on Facebook. So I made connections that way initially, right? Through a trying time for people, I was able to create some positivity. And then when it was time to hit the ground running, like I said, when we went through a breakdown, because my wife was stressed, she was paying all the bills. I said, I can't live like this anymore. I mean, it's too demoralizing for me. And that's when I started the longer form videos. I watched Jeremy Knight in Austin, and I watched Ken Posick.
Peace out to German Night and
Yeah.
Composec. Come on, boys.
So those guys were my role models, and they still are to this day. Jeremy for consistency and content, and Ken for the same thing. And Ken always pushing possible. So they say if you do what other successful people do in life, then you'll be successful too. So I try to follow that line, way of life, way of thinking.
So you kind of you just model, the people which they took the route to be
Hmm.
successful, and just really walking their steps, right?
Right. Yeah, definitely.
How big of adjustment it is, because I know going from mastering the NLPs and banging the phone every day, and having those not so pleasant conversations with Fizbos, right, on the phone, and switching into video and editing and posting and knowing the algorithm, the SEOs and the topics, like that's a completely different skill set. Like,
It is, and it's a different approach, and one that I like because I'm not asking for business. I'm giving people information they'll need. I treat my channel like I never left the news station, and that I try to stay current with things.
mhm.
If all of a sudden we're under a stage 3 water restriction, we can't water our grass. Well, that's a video I have to do. If the market is tanking here, that's the video we have to do. I'm not doing videos on, hey, time to buy a house now. No, I'm given reality. Most of the videos that we do are lifestyle, what it's like to live here. And that's been the pillar, is that providing people information. I've never said my name once on any of my videos, not one time. I've never said the name of my broker one time on any of my videos.
Wow.
At the end, I'll say, if you do plan on moving or buying a house in New Braunfels, I'd love to be your real estate resource of choice. You can call me, you can email me, you can throw me a text. That's call of action comes at the very end. Everything to that point is strictly added value. That's my goal anyway. It's information, what it's like to live here, why you shouldn't move here, 12 top neighborhoods in this area, things that people have to know when they're making perhaps the biggest decision of their
Mhm.
lives.
Yeah, I love it. This is so good. Now, some of the people, some of the viewers probably thinking, yeah, easy for you, Ron, because you used to be angry before. So I mean, you were natural at it, right? Like, what would you say to the viewers which are just thinking that right now? And by the
No,
way, if you
no,
guys thinking that, just drop it in the comment below. I'm really
yeah.
curious if you think that's an obstacle for you.
I think it can be. I think the biggest obstacle for me was what kind of lens do I need? What kind of camera do I need? And what I was really saying is, I really don't want to do this, but I'm delaying the process by asking these questions. When in reality, all I've used for 3 years, almost every video, sometimes I have a videographer if it calls for that, is my iPhone 11 that's 4 years old. I've
That's
used
it.
my iPhone, and that's it, and a $36 tripod and a Rode wireless mic. And I shoot all my stuff outdoors. That's the extent of the money I spend, and the ROI has been phenomenal.
Yeah, that's
So,
pretty incredible. So give us a perspective, right? Like, last year, how much of a business you did, uh, how many units, what was the GCI approximately, and how much of that actually come off from YouTube.
okay, so last year, if we can go back to March 2021 and everything to date right now, I'm at about 30 million, just shy of 30 million, 29.6 million in closed and pending in 2 years, all from YouTube. Everything comes from YouTube. Even I get builder referrals sometimes. People want to sell their homes because they do watch the channel and they respect, what you're doing. So that's been my number one pillar. And my best year ever in real estate was last year, was near 20 million in sales. The year before that, I was just shy of 6 million. And this year, closed and pending, it's 5.1 million.
5.1 million. That's pretty
Yeah.
incredible. And you said all of it coming from YouTube.
Everything comes from YouTube. Yes.
Wow. And so how much do you spend on YouTube ads and stuff like that? Like, how much does that cost you in advertisement?
Zero. No
So you
money.
don't you spend zero money on that
Yeah.
advertisement. Wow. So it's all organic, right? From the videos you do, all organic and non-paid. Pretty incredible. So I mean, who would like to get that kind of results, guys? If you do, give us a thumbs up. I want to see if people want to generate some more business off of YouTube. If you do want to generate business off of YouTube, give us some thumbs up. Incredible. Beautiful. Raad, are you there?
I'm here.
All right, beautiful. Your video stopped.
Okay.
So,
Can you see me?
not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, not yet. So, Raad, how many videos do you shoot
Let me see. I'll get out. Maybe
per
you
week,
see me
per
better.
month?
Can you see me now?
No, your video still it's still off actually.
Let's see. Odd. How many videos do I shoot a month? 4, sometimes 5, depending on how many weeks are in the month.
I see.
So I always make sure, and if I go away on a trip or something, I make sure I have 2 or 3 in the bag just in case I'm gone for a long time.
I see. So you want to make sure that you pump a video once a week.
Yes, and that's staying consistent.
Okay. Are you shooting it live or are you shooting it in advance? Like, what is the structure for
So
that?
I'm shooting it. Basically, my shoot days are Tuesdays.
Mm-hmm.
I'll shoot on Tuesday. I'll edit that same day and the next day, and then start working on the next one for the following week. And then I'll shoot. I'll shoot a thumbnail. I'll take a picture and then
Mm-hmm.
send that uh, to Fiverr to create for me. And then what I'll do is I'll repurpose some of my YouTube videos, send them to Fiverr, and then they'll cut them into shorter reels for Instagram, and they'll add the captions to them and the sound effects. And that's one thing I've been more consistent with this year is Instagram content and just content in general. So between YouTube and Instagram stories or reels, I've
Mm-hmm.
been so much more consistent, and it's benefiting because I've gotten two actually uh, clients, future clients, just from the Instagram content where they say, we didn't know this before. We love your content. We always wait
Mm-hmm.
for it. So, like I said, treat it like I treat it like it's a media machine. Like people, when something happens in town, I have to be all over it.
So do you predominantly, focus on like a news content?
News and the fact that giving people, I remember hearing Gary Vee say this, that give people what they're used to seeing. They're used to seeing news from the 50s, 60s, and 70s and
Mm-hmm.
80s, not the news today. Give them information that's important, that's vital. And so if all of a sudden I see that the developers are demolishing a building to build a multi-use community, including a hotel on the river from an old building, I'm going to be all over that. I'm going to walk that property for about 2 minutes and splice it up and get it out there the same day or the next day. So I treat everything like it's news. I'm still in the news cycle mindset, but I think it's relevant, right? You have to stay relevant, which
Mm-hmm.
means you have to stay timely. Don't wait for something to happen, especially if you're in a smaller town and there's just not a lot of outlets out there. People, you can become the mayor, the digital mayor of that city really fast.
Oh. And so you said you're shooting the content once a week, every Tuesday. Are you doing it yourself, or do you have a videographer coming up? Are you doing your own edits as well? And how long it
So
takes you?
I'm doing my own edits. I don't know if you can see me or if I'm online
No,
or okay.
we can hear you, but we cannot see you. Let me try
Okay, I'm
to.
gonna I'm gonna try to move. I'm gonna try to move around here. So
Yeah.
I'm doing my own edits
Mm-hmm.
every week, and it's something at some point I'm sure I'll farm out. But that's what I like about that part of it is the definitely the creative part of editing. That sometimes it's harder for somebody to do it because you know in your head that that's that's your creation.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a huge learning curve for me. Was adding. Can you see me now?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Um, that was a huge learning curve for me because I didn't, and I put this, I didn't know how to use the software, but I got help. Somebody taught me. And then it took a few, and then, I got the hang of it. But yeah, that part of it is the creative part of it is so important.
Hmm. Yeah. And how long does it take you? Does it take you like a whole day? You do it once a week, right? So,
I do it once a week. So it takes me
mhm,
about, to shoot and to edit, it takes me about 2.5 days.
2.5 days for
Yeah.
shooting and
So
editing. Okay.
that's what I would call my prospecting. I mean, we did a video on a nearby city because I'm starting to do that now. I'm starting
Hmm.
to partner up with agents and who know other areas as well as I do, or better than I do, I should say. And then going on with them and having them be the expert for that city. We did
Hmm.
a video. We did a video 3 weeks ago like that, and on the same day, which is kind of rare, we got a hot lead from it, and those people will end up. Actually, we're going to show them a house that's near $1 million today, and they will definitely purchase something because they're moving. They have to move here because their kids are here. So the power of video is it's there. I mean, that's the way people are consuming information, and if you give them something of value, uh, then and if they like you, they're definitely going to contact you.
Yeah. So now, you produce these beautiful videos, right? Like how important it's the thumbnail, how important are the keywords and the tagline? Like what are some of the ingredients you use which really get you that result?
Well, I think it's important to keep general, like something like moving to, in your case, it would be Queens, right? Living
Hmm.
in Queens, relocating to Queens, keywords like that, real estate, Queens real estate, um, just general things like that, moving to Queens, like I said, living in or best city to live in Texas, in my case. So I think whatever it is you're talking about, somehow center around that. But there are other people who don't. For example, Trey Serrano, right?
Hmm.
I don't know. I mean, Trey's YouTube has blown up, and I don't know if he. I know he didn't start using tag words. He just constantly puts out content.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure, but it works. I mean, it does work because people are plugging in words to YouTube, and those are the key words that they're looking at.
So it sounds like it's a combination of all of those things, right?
Yeah, it's consistent, John. I'm telling you, it's consistency more than anything else. Because when
Yep.
people call, they say, "Look, we've seen a lot of your videos, or we binged on all these videos, and we scroll down and look at other agents, but your videos keep coming up."
Yeah.
Now, the only reason those videos keep coming up is the consistency. If
Yeah.
you stop, those videos wouldn't keep coming up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you can never be go wrong with consistency, right? There's a great question over here by Monica Soyemi. Did you start your channel with this type of content, or did you start it off with something else and then you convert it?
No, it was always doing it right from the start. It was like the evergreen videos, the pros and cons of living here, why everyone is moving to my city. So that's a very good question. I started with the evergreen, the videos that can always last, right? Last a long time.
Yeah.
Reasons not to move here, reasons to move here, what you should know before you move here. That's what I started with. Good question.
And at what point did you switch more towards the news and being the anchor in your area?
We're growing so fast, which dictated that. I'm saying to
I
myself,
see.
I really have to curl toward the breaking news part of it, and the videos that do really well on the channel are the coming to videos. Like, here's what's coming to my city in 2023 and 2024, and people don't know. So those are the a lot of views come from sellers or potential sellers too, because they want to know what's going on in town, and sometimes they don't know that the PF Chang's is going to open on March 29th, or that the new development at Creekside, let's say,
Mhm.
is now getting underway, or that the city plans a facelift for downtown. They know somewhat, but they don't know the happening in real time part of it.
That sounds like a lot of work, Rod. I mean, you really have to get educate yourself, what's going on in your marketplace, and then how you can, put that into words, so people they can understand it and give them some value out of it as well, right?
Definitely, it is a lot of work. It's a lot of planning, but it's a lot of information. And as the city grows, and it's grown so fast in just a few years, you have to grow with it, or you're going to always be behind. And you have to put yourself in position to say to yourself, look, people depend on me for information.
Hmm.
They just do. And if I don't deliver, then I'm failing them. You're thinking about, they're making the biggest decision of their life with easily one of the biggest, if not the biggest, assets of their life. And you can't screw this up. You have to be transparent. The goal is, when somebody comes to town, for them, whether they use you or not, it doesn't matter. You want them to say to you, Rod, you want them to stop you at the park and say, you know what, Rod, we didn't use you as a realtor. We moved here, but everything you said on your videos is true. You don't want to be a fraud and say, well, hey, it's glorious here, and the sun is always shining, and the people are always friendly, and they come here and it's not the case, but yet they relied on your information. So the best thing I can hear is, everything that you said about this place is true.
I love that.
That's it.
I
Yeah.
love that. I mean, serve first, sell second, again and again and
Yep.
again. Really, we gotta
Yep.
focus on the customer before the sell. That's good.
Yes.
This is so good. So, I mean, Rod, I know you said 136 videos. Does that sound about right?
133. Yeah. Right. It's about
100,
right. Yeah.
133. And
Yeah.
I mean, at what point did you start seeing some result out of it? Because I know, don't expect you do a first video and you get 10 leads and 10 sellers out of it, right? It's most likely not going to happen. So, what was the pivotal point for you? At what video did you start getting some results out of it?
So thank you for asking that question. It's very important, because I started doing videos in June 2020, but then I did one in June, two in July, one in August, two in September, and one in October. And then in November, I started every week. So
What
I haven't missed a
happened in
week since
November?
November. I
What happened in
just
November?
started I started doing more content. No particular reason. I just said,
Hmm.
you know what? I have to start doing this. I got to start being more consistent
Hmm.
with things. And it was just one of those things where I saw the subscribers coming across. So I felt some momentum. So I said, okay, people are watching. And then in November, at the end of November, a family from Arizona reached out to me and say, look, we've seen your videos. We like you. We want to work with you. We have to move there. And so they were my first YouTube family, and they closed in March of 2021. So more clients called, and they bought a piece of land, Super Bowl Sunday of 2021, 3 acres, and we're almost finished with building their custom house. And so
Wow.
it's a $1.7 million
Beautiful.
thing, a transaction. So as soon as the consistency started, that's when the business picked up.
This is so good. But so from the first video in June, it took you about 6 months to get that first lead, and it took you about 9 months to get paid for that effort.
I would say, because of my inconsistency at first, yes.
Okay. So you almost feel like if someone would start doing videos now, and even though there's way more competition now, probably too, right? More
Mm-hmm.
people are doing videos than 3 years ago. We know that. So if someone would start doing videos now consistently, in 6 months they should most likely see some result. Of course, if they're consistent and they're putting one video out and the content is right, they're just not vomiting on the video. There has to be some type of a value. Would you say 6 months is the timeline when they should see some type of return on that?
Could be 6 minutes, it
Could
could
be
be six
six.
weeks, it could be 6 days. I mean, we just did that one video on that one new city,
Mm-hmm.
albeit, I mean, I've had, people used to watching, but one video on a new city on the same day. But there's no magic. Look,
Mm-hmm.
the key, John, is to be yourself. And you said it best. There's a lot of people doing video. I pay no attention to anybody. I just do me. And I do what I think is best for value. I'm not paying attention. If somebody says, Rod, you got to see this video I did. I don't. I purposely don't watch, because then I become distracted. And what happens when you become distracted, you get off target. And when you get off target, things start to unravel. I don't pay attention to anyone else. The only people I pay attention to really are my original role models, and that's it. I watch their content from time to time, but I mean, I don't pay attention. I just focus on what needs to be done. As far as getting leads and closing business, it depends on how relevant your content is. I mean, John, I think we've both been there in life where we're on the call, we're asking for business, and we have commission brought, right? We're like, and it never happens because we have that. But it happens, it's the same thing in video, right? You could, oh my God, I need this business. I need this sale. I'm going to tell these guys to move here right now, because don't do that. You're there to offer them information that would be important to them without expecting anything in return. I think when you do video, you have to keep that in mind. Do not expect anything in return. Provide some people with value, and eventually it's going to come back your way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's really a key, to life to be successful, right?
Right.
Just do the right thing for the right reasons without expectations from
Right.
it. I love that. So, Rad, what's next for you? Like, what is the next level now? How you gonna step it up in your video production business?
Well, I mean, what's next is what's happening right now. So I've stepped up by repurposing my videos and posting those on Instagram. So being more consistent, at least one every other day, if not one a day, growing the team. So I have somebody who's aboard right now, who actually was a client, moved here from California with his family, was with Century 21 forever. And he says, Rod, whoever you're with, I'm just going to join you. And I have an excellent transaction coordinator who is also an agent, high energy person. So 2 people, and the goal is to grow it to the point where I can just kind of step away from production and just solely focus on content creation, because I love doing that.
I love that. So just content creation for the lead generation, and just moving it to the agent so they can close the deals for you.
Doing more, doubling down on what's working. Yes.
Good. I love it. Now, I'm curious, if you would be a superhero, who would you be as a superhero?
I've never. I guess just me. I never thought about that. I don't know. You put me on the spot there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So let me ask you differently.
I don't know. That's a good question.
What do you feel like it's your superpower?
Communication, definitely.
Communication?
Yeah. Follow up and communication. That's definitely my thing.
Persistence?
Persistence, yes. Persistence, consistency. Yeah. I would say if I were to pick one of those, it would be consistency. Yeah.
Okay. It's so good. Now, Rad, I don't want to hold you so much. I know you have the meeting afterwards. I really appreciate it. What it would be the last thing you would leave the viewers with?
I would say listen to yourself, tune everybody else out, and ask yourself what you need out of life. Like, if you were to design your own life, as we hear it all the time, right? What would that life look like? And then what do you need to get there? And do you feel that providing information for people that's going to be helpful for them, is that a way for you to do business, or a different way, or another way to do business? And so if you want to help people, I think you have to ask yourself, right, the wants versus the needs. What you want out of life, you're never going to get. What you need out of life, you're always going to get. So asking more specific questions of yourself. And I think self-reflection is very important as well. And that's basically where all this started. I mean, like I talked about in the beginning, it's all about forming these daily habits.
Mm.
You know, if you say, well, I want to do this all of a sudden, and you've never done it before, it's going to be difficult. And if you don't have that discipline to include that, because it's a big thing, it's going to take you a while. So I guess ask yourself, is it something you need, or is it something you want? Because those are two different things.
Yeah, so good. Rat, it was so good to see you, my man. I appreciate you for doing this for us. If you guys get value out of it, give us the thumbs up. Let us know that this was so good. And for those of you rewatching this, ask the questions. We'll go back to get you the answers. Rod, my man, I hope you're doing well.
John, thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you, my brother. Peace out.